Hello, I'm Bill Hopkins, and it's my pleasure tonight to introduce our speaker, Meg Inglis. Meg is now the Executive Director of the Native Plant Society of Texas, and our very first Executive Director. And Meg has worked in the environmental health and safety for medical device and manufacturing facilities and other organizations before she became involved with the Native Plant Society. She has a bachelor's in biology, a secondary science teaching certificate, and a master's in public administration. And she became interested in native plants about 2000 when she and her family built their home on a 2-acre parcel of land near Dripping Springs. Her knowledge of ecology and their decision to be solely dependent on a rainwater system drove their decision to restore their property with natives. In about 2014, Meg became the coordinator of the Native Landscape Certification Program. And as a member of the steering committee of that organization during that time, I've gotten to know Meg pretty well, and we become, I think, friends in addition to being working associates. So tonight, she's going to talk to us a little bit about, I think, what her goals are for as the executive director, and about the challenges facing the state organization, as well as chapters.
Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for asking me to come speak to Crosstimbers. I'm really excited to be here tonight. Again, my name is Meg Inglis, and I've been working for the Native Plant Society of Texas for 7 years now. I worked as the NLCP coordinator for 7 years, and now I'm currently the the executive director, and I'll call it ED because it's so much easier to say, the ED for 2.5 months. So as I said, it's wonderful to be here and to talk about the new ED role and what I've been tasked to accomplish. And I also wanted to answer any questions that you might have. And by the way, this is the Benbrook Prairie environmentally sensitive area up in the Fort Worth area. And I think all the pictures are by Kim Conroe. So just want to acknowledge she's a great photographer. I love using her photographs. So I want to start this presentation by talking about our team of employees. We are so fortunate to have a very competent team of employees working for NIPSOT. Sarah Torres is our state accountant, and she's been our accountant for probably over 2 years now. She's made tremendous improvements in creating a more efficient and transparent financial system. She's doing a fantastic job of making financial reports and accounting reports easy for us to read, the lay people, and easy to understand. So I have to say that after working for NLCP for several years, when she came on board and we started getting her reports, it really gave me a sense of comfort to know that she was on board, because she knows what she's talking about. Craig Coulter is our membership coordinator. He's been with us for about 1.5 years, and he has been a hugely dedicated worker and was very instrumental in our transition from paper to online membership. And he's been working on, he's the person who worked with Bill Hopkins to transition the records to our new Neon system. And he's, you ask Craig to do something or for a report, he's always willing to help and very gracious in working for us. And our newest addition is Linda Foss. I noticed Linda is here tonight, so I'm glad to see you. She's our Native Landscape Certification Coordinator. And she has only been on the job for 3 months. She's picking up her responsibilities fast, and she's also bringing new skills to the job, which I think is just great. And I want to thank the NLCP steering committee in particular for taking the time and energy and hard work it takes to hire somebody to go through the process of hiring Linda. You may remember about 4 years ago or so, we had a lady named Pam Middleton, who was our state coordinator. And she did that position for many years and left a few years ago. And after she left, it became apparent, I think, to the state NPSOT organization that she had a little bit too much on her plate. And what ended up happening after she left was that her job was turned into, was split up between several people. So the accounting part went to Sarah and the membership part went to Craig. And then Pam was also instrumental in helping with the symposia. She did a lot for that, the fall symposium. And so that part I'll be taking over. So anyway, we've split up the functions and I think it works a lot better. We've got specific skills, specific skill sets for what we need to have done on a functional basis. Of course, the foundation of the NPSOT is built on its members and its volunteers. And right now we have over 3,300 members and 2,900 household accounts and 35 chapters. And we're growing every day. And I just think it's such an exciting time to be part of the organization. You know, I'm happy to be part of this team. We're going to make a difference, I believe. Oh. Okay, next. So today I would like to give you an overview of some of NPSOT's accomplishments, goals, and objectives, and let you know where the ED fits in, what I've been basically asked to do. And what I'd like to do is to focus on 3 areas, the infrastructure, symposia, and the strategic plan. So we'll go over these 3 areas tonight. Now I'm assuming these are gay feather, aren't they beautiful? Kim's pictures, beautiful. Infrastructure. So infrastructure is really composed of several things. Infrastructure is going to be the employees, which I'm showing you here, and then I'll talk about technology and governance as well. They're important. But I wanted to look at infrastructure first because frankly, that's where I've been spending a lot of my time already. And it's a very important part of making an organization healthy and stable. With regard to the employees, I started this presentation by talking about the staff that we already have, and the state board has made the decision to hire an administrative assistant. So we're currently in the process of adding this new position. As a matter of fact, we will stop accepting resumes for the position in 2 days, and so I'll have a team to look at all the different resumes that we've received. I think we've probably gotten over 30. And then from there, it'll probably take another month, 3 weeks to a month before we can actually bring our new administrative assistant on board. This person's going to help the state office and also chapters, and I'm sure members will be impacted as well. So I think it'll be really nice to have an administrative assistant. Then the second part of the employees is the reporting structure. Now, it took a lot of work, an intensely amount of work for our last executive board to pull together to bring in a new executive board, an executive director on the board. And they worked a whole lot of hours to do this. So the executive director is here. Now the current board has to take a look at how that impacts the organization. they're focusing in on, so if you think about the way NIPSOT was structured before, it didn't have an executive director, and we have to figure out how the director fits in to the structure. And so one of the things that I guess I'm going to lead up this team as well is we're going to look at the standing rules. And the standing rules is a document that you can find online. You can go to the NIPSOT's website and look under accounting. Is it accounting? Bill would know. Anyway, I'm not going to show you because if I try to show you, I'll lose my slideshow. Well, maybe after I'll show you where to look for it, but it's on the website.
I think it's called governance.
Well, it's governance, and then under governance, it's
responsibility or
yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, you can look at this copy of governance. That's right, because the strategic plan is under the other. So I'm still learning how to find all this stuff on the website. I'm sorry, guys. But nevertheless, the standing rules are the rules that actually outline the responsibilities of the executive board, the officers of the executive board. And of course, they've all split up the duties over time. And now we have a new ED. And so what is the new ED going to take over? And how are these all responsibilities all going to play out? And so that's going to be the job of a team. And we'll be looking at the standing rules as a whole and talking to the officers about their responsibilities. And then also, I think what we're going to do is make some, I don't know, some term changes. You know, if we have something that's out of date, I think we had leader web mentioned in the standing rules. There's some things that we could update and make it more reflective of the organization today. So we'll be doing that over the next few months. I would think that probably at the next quarterly board meeting, we'll be able to provide that to the state board for review and have a decision about whether it's approved or not. So hopefully we'll get that done soon. And then the employee handbook is something that the executive board has been working on for the past 9 months. Basically, I think there's been a team that met once a week for several months, many months, and pulled together an employee handbook. And the handbook tells the employees what the organization will do for them. And it also tells the organization, it also tells the employees what they need, you know, how they need to behave as employees. And so I think it's a really good handbook, and we're in the process of getting the employees to sign the handbook. It's a good addition to the policies and procedures that we need to have in place. And then finally, this last point, training. The NLCP coordinator, Linda, needs to be trained. So I am splitting my time between the ED role and the NLCP coordinator, training Linda in her position. And so just kind of depending on where we are in the process of implementing NLCP, what kind of help she might need. So basically, my time is split. And then also, I anticipate when the administrative assistant comes on board, I'll probably be the one that will be spending a lot of time training the administrative assistant. So the second major component of the infrastructure is the technology. So this is something that Kim Conran and I looked at this afternoon, and we realized that we have between 12 and 15 different types of software that I have to have some level of competence in. And in addition, I need the employees to have a higher level of competence, of course, and they'll be actually using most of the software. But I need to be around. I need to have enough familiarity with all of this in order to take over in case something happens. So Neon, I am familiar with Neon because for NLCP, I use that to, we use Neon to keep up with our membership, which is what Craig is in charge of. We also use it to keep up with our educational records, like the NLCP records, and then event registration. So I have a bit of familiarity with this particular software, and am learning more every day. We hope you're learning more about Neon every day. We hope you're becoming familiar with the software and that you've tried to log on to your account, and maybe perhaps you're a chapter leader and you've seen some of Craig's reports. For example, LeaderWeb, we've transitioned Craig and Bill transitioned the LeaderWeb membership reports over to Neon. And what else? Oh, the other thing is Craig is working on a presentation to give on Zoom so that he can share with you. You can actually walk through the steps and show you how to do things on Neon, and hopefully he'll be doing that within the next couple of months. And we would like to record one of those Zoom recordings and perhaps edit it and provide it for the membership on YouTube, because it's not that difficult after a while. When I first started using Neon, I thought I'd pull my hair out, but at this point now, I almost feel like I prefer, I really do prefer a lot of the things that a lot of the functions that we have with Neon over the way we were doing things before. Craig has been making sure that every time somebody renews or signs up for membership, that the information is accurate and coherent. And so he works really hard on that. And he tells me that after a year, we should be able to, we should have just, all of the members should be accounted for and in good shape as far as our records are concerned. And so after that, we should have, it should be a little bit easier. And then the other thing we'd like to do with Neon, there are other functions that we could take advantage of, but we have to learn about them. So as soon as we can change our focus and start focusing on those other functions, then we can perhaps start utilizing them. Now, I believe all of you are familiar with LeaderWeb. LeaderWeb has been our go-to source for chapter and state information for so many years, and has been, I think it was a great tool, but at this point, we are having to transition all of the documents and things that we store on LeaderWeb. We're going to have to provide to you somewhere else. So we have a team looking at that and how we're going to implement that. But basically, as I told you already, Craig's moved membership from LeaderWeb to Neon. He's got a report, so we've got membership reports available to you. And then Sarah is working on creating a new quarterly reporting structure, and hopefully by May she should have that done. And she'll be working with the chapters on an individual basis with the treasurers and making sure that they understand how they're supposed to submit their quarterly report. So what else do I need to tell you about LeaderWeb? Oh, and then finally about LeaderWeb, we're going to take all of the rest of the documentation that's on there and put it where it makes sense. So some of the information will be going on to Neon, and some of it will be, you'll be able to get to, for example, on the state website under the chapter tool chest, and some of it you may be able to find in both locations. So Bill has agreed to continue helping us with that, and I'm very grateful because we do need his leadership on this transition. With social media, of course, we're always working to increase our reach through social media and to make improvements and upgrades. So we'll be working on that forever. And Bill, I have to say that in Crosstimbers, Bill Hopkins is your representative to technology. He's been the technology guru for so many years, and we are so appreciative of that. I mean, he's very familiar with all of these technologies, and so I really want to thank Crosstimbers for allowing us to use his skills. Thank you. And then finally, the third part of infrastructure where I am spending some time is the governance. And we've already talked about the standing rules and the importance of that. And then there are just a number of different policies and procedures that are going to have to be developed. It sounds like it's overkill, but it's really not. It's just developing the structure of the organization. We have to have some policies and procedures in place so that everybody knows what to do and how to do it. And we have to understand where we want to hold our, keep our records, and we have to, so there's just a bunch of administrative stuff that has to be taken care of, and we'll need to be focusing on that probably forever, but we'll be working on that in particular during this first 6 months of the year, I think. And of course, you do know that any changes or policies and procedures that we put in place are always going to have to be approved by the state board. So you won't be left out, I promise. Symposia. So Linda Knowles has been working very hard. There's a small team of us working. Kim and Linda and I are working on the spring symposium, and we were going to have it as a hybrid event this spring, but we've just recently changed our minds to just keep it all online. So we're having a presentation, online presentation, Saturday, March 5th for the spring symposium. We've got our speakers lined up, and it's going to be a really great program, and I encourage you to sign up to come to it. I think one of the most important things that we've gotten out of COVID that's positive is our ability to Zoom and to go to each other's presentations. So we're going to have to continue to do that for a while anyway, I guess.
Meg, do you know
Yes.
what the pricing structure is of the spring symposium yet?
I want to say 30 for non-members and 20 for members for the online online. We had, you know, we of course when it was hybrid, we had our other prices for in person. So I want to say 30 for non-members and 20 for members, which is really a great deal. I think we're going to have 5 presenters, and they're all going to be, you know, superb and, you know, high level, not high level per se, but that's not the right term I want to use, but very good speakers, very knowledgeable, and very interesting topics. And we'll be getting the registration up for that. Well, that's my responsibility to get that registration site going. So I'll be working on that probably tomorrow or maybe next week, early next week. So we'll get that out soon. And then the fall symposium, we really would hope to have it as a hybrid. I'm just hoping we can do that. We chose a date, September 29th through the 2nd of October. And we're looking at or considering the Big Bend area as our location. And I'm looking into that, Sol Ross and a couple other places in the Alpine area. So if I just want to say this is our first official announcement of a fall symposium schedule. And if this is just a horrible date for a big reason that for some reason we didn't know about when we set this date, then please let us know as soon as you can. But at this point, we feel pretty comfortable. This is going to be a great time of the fall to go to the symposium. So we're looking forward to it. And the strategic plan, the Native Plant Society of Texas's 5-year strategic plan is our guidance document. It's, you know, something that we should be looking at on a regular basis. I should be anyway. And I think chapter leaders should as well. It helps us focus on what we want, what we need to do to achieve, what we want to achieve for our organization, what we have to do, and for now and for the future. And everything I've really talked about tonight is related to the strategic plan in some form or fashion. We're for completing. I think we've had hiring an executive director on a strategic plan for about 15 years now. So I mean, we're there, and I don't think it wasn't on. Was it on this particular strategic plan? It might have even been. Let's take a look, because I don't know. I certainly don't know it by heart. Okay, so you can see that the strategic plan, if you go online, then this is where Bill and I was getting confused. The strategic plan is the one that's under accounting, I think, being accountable, something like that, the governance being accountable. And this is the strategic
accountability, I believe.
Accountability, thank you. So goal 1 is the education and outreach goal. And then there are 3 objectives that are underneath that goal, and then some things or ways to go ahead and reach those objectives. And for example, I'd like to say we're already working on some of these. A2 offer new native landscape certification programs to new audiences. We have Pines and Prairies that just started their level 1 last fall, got a new audience there. I would love for them to work with the Post Oak chapter, for example, to start putting on levels 1 through 4. Then the other, then we have Lindheimer, who's just told me they want to do a level 3 for the first time. So that we're moving right along on that objective right there. And NICE is a really important program, I think, for our organization, because we really do need to develop our plants. We need to make sure that the nurseries are thinking about us and bringing in the right plants for us to have. And so I am so excited that the Austin chapter, my very own chapter, is finally going to get a NICE program. So we're working on that. We found an enthusiastic volunteer to do that, and she's just taking it and running with it. And so that's a very nice feeling to think that we're finally going to get a NICE program. It's oh, and I want to talk about the chapter activity report. So this would fall under this objective: encourage chapters to share successful local programs with each other. The chapter activity report has always been, a nice cheat sheet. When I was president of the Boston chapter, I would go look and see on LeaderWeb, go and look and see look at the chapter activity reports to see what people had been doing and who they've been having as speakers, because our chapter is really focused a lot on having presentations. And so it's a great way to see what your other chapters are doing in your area and see who they're calling on to come speak to their organization and get ideas and share ideas. So Kim Conroe just got finished revising the chapter activity report. I know that one of the concerns that chapters had with it was they weren't, it wasn't the kind of form that you could fill in as you went through the year. So I just remember when I was president of the Austin chapter, you get to August and you go, okay, everybody, what did we do this year? And that's not really a good way to try to remember everything you've done. So it's very nice to have an Excel spreadsheet, which is where Kim put it on an Excel spreadsheet. So the chapter leader or leaders can keep a copy on their computer, and after they have their meeting, like tonight, Bill, you can go write that on your chapter activity report that you had me come speak. So I just think it's a great, I think it's wonderful that Kim did that, and I think it'll be helpful for everybody. Let me see. We are developing partnerships too with other, well, not so much other native plant societies. If you are developing a partnership with another native plant society, let us know. But I'm thinking more along the lines of, I went to visit the Texas Wildlife Association, which is doing a great job in educating the public and the schools, so that the kids in the schools, and they have adult programs as well. And they are really starting to get into native plants. So we need to start these partnerships. I have to go off topic here and say, with Texas Wildlife Association, they're just were given, or somebody donated 7 acres of land to them just south of San Marcos, and they built their headquarters there. And the whole 7 acres they're starting to restore now. They're going to restore it in natives, and they've got this whole restoration project going on, which I think is really cool. And I'm hoping that they'll share that. I would love for them to share that with us at the fall symposium, because they're doing this something similar like the Bush Library in Dallas, where they're recording it as they go along, so that they'll be able to go back and look at what it looked like when they first started out, and then follow through with the video. So I think that's pretty cool. Wouldn't it be nice if we had somebody donate 7 acres to us so we could have a state office? You never know. Okay, so then the second page, the administration, chapters, and membership, is also we're also doing other things along these lines. There's now an onboarding program for our state board members, which is something that's really a useful tool for us to have, is to help new chapter leaders and executive officers and other committee leaders. We have a way to orient them and to onboard them into the organization. And then I'd say that for C3, I just like to look at all these things to encourage chapters to work with each other. I keep giving in LCP examples because that's frankly what I've done for the past 7 years, but we'd like to have chapters. I see chapters working together to host regional classes. I see chapters working together to do Monarch Way Station work, BBMT. There's all sorts of great examples of chapters working together. And then I've already mentioned this, but I think that COVID has forced us online, so we are sharing a lot more. I think that aspect is pretty nice, that we're sharing a lot more activities and speakers and things like that. So then the final point here is that fundraising. Let me move this guy out of the way. The final point is that fundraising is going to be something that I'm going to have to work on. But currently, the way we're paying for a lot of our growth is through membership fees. They make up a key component of the revenues so as your chapter grows, it does support the infrastructure, so to speak. And as I mentioned earlier, we have over 3,300 member account. I might not have mentioned this, but we have over 3,300 member accounts. That means 3,300 members, straight out members, and that's including individuals and then each member of a family if you signed up as a family. And then we have 2,900 or over 2,900 household accounts. And we have 35 chapters. We're growing. It's a really good time for the Native Plant Society. But I don't think we can count on membership dues to pay for everything. And there's an obligation that I'm going to have to do some fundraising, and that's going to be one of my key focuses, foci, after we get this infrastructure and governance and employee projects completed. So that will be a key focus of mine. And then I wanted to share this, and so this is kind of hokey, I have to say, but this is how I think about Native Plant Society. I compare our organization to a strong and a sturdy tree. And this is an excellent example of a strong and a sturdy tree. It's a post oak, Quercus stellata. This is a post oak at the George Bush Library in College Station. I grew up in College Station, so I go back on a regular basis to see my mom. and who's 99. And I pass this library every time. And being, with the NLCP coordinator, I was always looking for photographs, and we still are, I'm sure, and of plants. And form is a really important component of being able to describe a plant. And so this was a form photo that I took of the post oak in College Station. And I want you to think about our organization as a tree, and the roots and the trunk. They're basically what I just finished talking about, the state and the infrastructure. They are the core structure, the strength. They're the anchor. And what we're supposed to do is to provide support to you. And then if you think about the chapters as the branches on the tree, you guys are reaching out. You're reaching out to the community and sharing your passion for native plants and spreading throughout Texas. And then finally, each leaf I think of as a member and a volunteer. And you, again, are taking your message to the community. And I think the interesting point to be made here is that leaves on a tree are photosynthetic, and they actually are used to create the nutrition or the sugars for the tree. So it's a feedback system. And so I'm really excited that we have so many members, and I know from working for this organization for so long that you guys are just some of the most compassionate and dedicated people ever, and you make a difference. You really do make a difference. And just think of yourself as part of this tree and contributing to life. So I'll fix that analogy up a little bit more. It's the first time I've done it, guys. All right. And it's kind of hokey. And but nevertheless, I want to thank you for letting me come and talk to you tonight. And if there are any questions in the chat box, or if you just want to shout out, then either way is fine with me. And because this is what I consider this to be more of a roundtable, where if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. And if I can't answer them, I'll be happy to get back to you afterwards. So let me stop this show here and stop sharing and see if anybody.
Well, I have a question right away, if I could start it off while
Yes,
other people are writing in their questions or shouting them out. You didn't mention very much about grants, and I was wondering if there's going to be any kind of concerted effort to get more grants. And I feel like that's something that we're really overlooking, that there are grants and money out there for grants that we could really benefit from, and we just have sort of overlooked those for quite a few years now.
We have, that's right. Yes, that's definitely part of the fundraising part. I didn't specifically say grants, but yeah, I consider fundraising as asking for donations and also going out and grant writing. And the neat thing about it is I've already gotten people contacting me saying, well, I can help with writing grants. So we have the knowledge and the capability out there. I've written one grant in my life, so I need help on that, and honestly, so anybody wants to help out with grant writing or pointing us in the right direction, or I know there's systems out there that assist you in finding grants that may be appropriate for your particular organization, then we'd love to have your input. I think though, I just feel like I need to get this the infrastructure into place a little bit more before I start jumping on the grant train to start, looking into that, because that's a big responsibility and project in and of itself. But like I said, I think we have people that can help us with it, and that would be a wonderful group to pull together.
Well, as a follow-up to that, we already have a question asking like, what will we do with the money if we get more money?
Ooh, well, that's not necessarily for me to say. That's for the executive board to say, and the state board, but I think the idea would be to support programs like Bring Back the Monarchs and just other programs that come up. I think we need to, it'd be nice if we could, yeah, I'm sure there are plenty of ideas about new programs that we can start out there, and I think that's where we would go, is start supporting programs. Of course, when you write a grant, you're writing it for a specific thing. So Bring Back the Monarchs is a good example. Carol Clark is writing grants to bring in money for her program. So generally when you get a grant, it's for a specific project. And then with fundraising, if I'm not mistaken, you can fundraise and then you more or less put that in the general fund and use that for whatever you need it for. You could use it for operating expenses.
Okay, well, and to answer the question that was really asked, I think she was wanting to know how will the funds be used and how much money will we be trying to raise? And so it sounds like the answer is that it's kind of indefinite, or?
Yeah, I could not give you an answer to that question right now, but I would be excited to receive suggestions to people for ideas for grants and associated programs that might go along with that.
Well, here's another question. Will the state office remain in Fredericksburg?
The state storage unit remains in Fredericksburg, but we have no plans, as far as I know, and I don't know that I can speak for the executive board on this, but as far as I know, we have no plans for a physical state board yet. A physical state office yet, sorry, excuse me. And that is all I know at this point. What are we thinking about efforts to grow membership? Oh my goodness.
That's a good question.
Yeah, that is a good question. Well, in the past, we've done the chapter membership contest, but I don't know that I haven't been thinking about anything else, and I'm open to ideas. Bill, is there any, I think I have some board members here.
One of the things that I was been kind of wondering about myself is how to compare what our membership is now, since we're on a new membership system that counts individuals as opposed to memberships. How much difference there is between what our membership is now and what it was like a year ago is hard to figure out. It seems to me. Has anybody given any thought to that or provided any kind of measurement or metrics about that?
Well, Craig is, I see, I hear Kim, but Craig, you want to talk, Kim? Go ahead, Kim.
Okay. Well, you know what? When I started 4 years ago in this, we were at 2,700 around there households, and we're over 2,900 now. So we've grown by 250 households in 3 or 4 years. So that's pretty good. But we need to grow by twice as many more than that, 3 times to reach our strategic plan goal. But we can get there. I think people are a lot more interested in plants now that they've had to spend time walking out in nature, didn't know what else to do in the last 2 years. And they found that it helped their health and well-being, and they want to keep it nice. And that helps us.
Yeah.
In our mission. Yeah.
So Jim Domke's asking about reaching youth and working with schools and/or native plant gardens in schools. That's always been a tough one, Jim, because I'll tell you from experience from our Austin chapter, you get questions from schools, requests from schools quite a lot to start a garden. And then they start the garden, but then they go away for the summer and nobody takes care of it and it dies over the summer. So our Austin chapter volunteers weren't enthusiastic about taking on a school garden project for that reason, but I do think there was a Natives in Schools program that Sarah Torres and Kimber Koshik were working on. I think it's a great idea. I think that I think we just need some I think we just need someone to take that and go with it honestly. Someone who has time and who'd be willing to lead that group. So we have a group that's, I think, willing to work on it, but we don't have a leader for that. And that's not an unusual problem. You have chapters where it's very difficult to find somebody to actually lead a project or lead a program or lead a chapter. So I think, and that's hard. I mean, it's a very difficult situation, but I would like to say that if we just break down these jobs in smaller pieces and more people were willing to take them and participate, I think we could accomplish it a lot more. I don't know, our Austin experience may be very different than everybody else's.
Yeah, Patricia is asking about inclusiveness and how are we making efforts to be more inclusive in our membership as it grows?
I think we need to focus on youth for sure. We need to be more inclusive in that regard. I don't know which inclusiveness she's talking about in specific, but to me, I really do think that we need to concentrate on getting younger people involved in the Native Plant Society. Now, I'm not quite sure how that will work, but I know we have in Austin, Stephanie Long is one of our younger members of the board, and she does a really good job of social media for our chapter. And I think we get more participation utilizing some of the things that she's implemented. But if you have any ideas about being more inclusive, then we're more than happy to hear them, Patricia. Patricia, what chapter are you with?
San Antonio.
Oh, San Antonio. Okay. Well, good. Well, welcome for coming. I mean, are you talking about then Latinos as well, or that type of thing?
Certainly Latinos, but also in that if we look at the state demographics, then maybe we can take a look at how can we have our organization reflect the state demographics, whether it's the state, since we're made up of chapters, the chapter demographics, of course, would vary, but then just seeing if we're making some progress to be inclusive just all the way around. One way, of course, with the Hispanic group is also the possibility of having bilingual materials. And
well, that's a good thing that you brought that up, because the NLCP is looking right now at translating some of our materials into Spanish, and so that's a project that we've just now started.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Just want us moving in the right direction, and I think that's helpful to just take a look at that, keep that on our minds,
on our radar. Yeah. Okay. Susie.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Libby, I'm in Parker County. This is a totally different topic, but you did mention it. The nice nurseries, to me, that's a really important thing, because we've got so much development out here, and everybody's putting in new homes just graded flat, and they're sticking in, they're buying andinas and privets like crazy because that's what they're selling. So could you just explain, we had a nursery that's still here but changed hands, and I think it's losing its focus on natives. I've talked to the owner a couple of times, and he just says, sure, but I don't know how you become a nice nursery.
Oh.
How you keep that, or whether you lose your credentials, or what the criteria are, because he can put the little signage up that we get from the chapter in Fort Worth, but that doesn't mean he's going to be selling natives or pushing them or cares one whit about it. So could you just talk a little bit about how that program is supposed to work, and whether can you get decertified if you don't sell the
If a nursery stops participating, can we decertify them? Is that what you're saying?
Well,
They're not really certified. They're just, I think the right relationship is partners is what we
Yeah.
call them.
yeah, and I've tried to
Oh.
explain that, but anyway, maybe you could just talk about that a little bit, because I don't know what the answer is if you got the one local nursery and it's kind of fading away in terms of, that. And I mean, I can't tell him what to sell.
Meg, can I say something? It's Kim.
Yeah, go right ahead.
I think that's the key is it's a partnership, as Bill said, and that the chapters work to help educate the nursery. You help each other, and you bring in customers and ask for native plants, and then they ask the growers for native plants, and then you tell them what native plants you want, and they ask for those, and it just builds a business that way. And you could give talks at the nursery. That's one thing that local chapters could do, is do educational programs at the nurseries. A lot of nurseries hold things like that.
Well, one thing I can say about the nursery that she's speaking about is that my understanding is that they're hiring a native person who specializes in native plants, and that they will be bringing them in this spring. Of course, last year was a terrible year because so many plants froze at the nurseries.
Yeah.
But I think the question may be, for a nursery to qualify as a nice nursery, what do they need to know? What do they need to know that they need to do? In other words, you can't just say we're a nice nursery, and what does that mean? It has to mean something specific. So what specifically?
Basically, it's a voluntary thing where the nursery agrees to participate with the chapter in featuring a plant of the month. The plant of the month thing is central to the designation. If they agree to have that plant available, have the signage there also that says that it's the plant of the month, then that's what makes them a nice nursery. The fact that they are participating in that plant of the month program, and the fact that all of the nurseries that are nice nurseries, I'm sure every one of them has a non-native plant on their premises. Maybe there's a few that don't, because I haven't been to all of them, but it's not required that every single thing that they have be native, and it's not required that they even have a certain percentage. But most of the people that do participate in it probably are going to have a larger than average percentage of native plants. But the central thing is that they have that plant of the month that is chosen in collaboration with the chapter, and is there along with the signage about that was described. And that's really what I think the partnership part of it is.
And I don't think
that sounds really doable, very easily doable.
You don't think it is?
I think it is. I think that's very doable and very easy to explain to the new owners of this nursery.
Well, and I have to say, anytime we hear it from the masses too. Kathy Saucier was at a meeting, and she said, I would like to see this happen. And we just turned it right back around to her and said, well, just, there's nothing to keep you from doing that. And she did. So I think people have great ideas. They have great ideas. And what we need is them, if they have the capability, to go ahead and follow through on them. And then what we can do as a state is take those ideas and spread them to the other chapters. We can help with that. So we can all work together to make things happen, I think. Okay, well, I really appreciate you guys coming and listening to me talk. And I always enjoy hearing from you.
Thank you so much for coming to talk to us, Meg.